Hey there, G1 Transformers fans, this is Wesatron. Today we're going to be taking a look at FansProject's Function X-1 code figure. There was a small amount of these that were released after the fact, but basically this figure was designed during the holidays as a sort of charity type of deal where if you ordered it, which it cost $70, then $20, I believe it was, went to Toys for Tots. So a pretty cool little deal that they did. I think BBTS and TF Source had it. I did pre-order at the time, but I didn't have it shipped because I knew I had some big things coming in the pile of loot. So this is my look at it. If you've never had FansProject figures before, they always do kind of slightly unusual packaging or G1 inspired packaging. In this case, they did the grid pattern, which is very cool. They've got this kind of slip case that over just a plain brown box, which is very interesting. So the slip case just comes all the way off, and you can see it's got all that cool like design work on it. They did a great job. And over here on this side, let me show you this. You can see, well, you can kind of see the image of the robot there. In fact, let me slip this back on so you can see it a little better. There you go. So they can't really call it chromedome, but everybody kind of knows it's chromedome. The box, as I said, is just a plain brown box, and it opens like so, and inside the figure is simply encased in a plastic two-piece that pops open like that and reseals for easy storage. And this may be the first one I have in general, but it's at least the first one in a long time that doesn't actually feature a comic book with the character, which I thought was kind of interesting. They still got all the great instructions, which show you how everything works perfectly. All the different moving parts are highlighted in red, and the rest is in black and white, so you know exactly what to move when. So very cool, but yeah, oddly enough, no comic book this time. Which oftentimes with the comic book, they'll kind of give you a preview of upcoming figures also. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they decided not to do that. So why don't we take a look at the action figure himself. And here's Function X-1, not chromedome, if you want to call him that, but whatever. Looking very stylish in his G1 colors. Very much dig the look of this guy. As I was kind of screwing around with him, I was sort of talking to my wife about it, about how unusual it is to have characters in such drab colors these days. Like they don't do this as much anymore. Like browns and tans, sort of off limits. So it's really cool to have a figure that looks a little different than everybody else on the shelf. And the colors I think really complement each other very well. I mean the tan color and the brown go really nicely together. The red sort of balances it out across the figure. You know, with the guns and the face and the chest, they kind of like bring everything together. Very, very nice design on this guy. What I really like about this guy is that when you're just looking at him, you're not immediately going, oh, that's a car. I think that's really cool. Like down here you can see some wheels in the legs. On the back you can see a canopy, but nothing about it really jumps out and says it's obvious what I transform into, which I think is really neat. The rifles on this guy are very interesting. They're both scoped. If I can get this out of his hand. It is a little bit of a tight fit. There we go. You can see it's just a scoped rifle. Very classic looking, very diggable. I like this open space right here so you can actually see where it, like the barrel enters into the, I don't know, housing of the gun. Very cool. And these actually slip forward, which is part of the transformation later, but I did want to show you that real quick. Yeah, very, very cool. I really dig this. They painted the white of the scope and on the tip of the barrel, which is something they didn't have to do, so I appreciate that they kind of went the extra mile there. That's just shows their attention to detail and quality at FansProject. So, looking at the head, you can see very nice G1 inspired, very cool. Very cool. I really like all the little like vents and paneling and everything that they decided to do on this thing. And again, this is another one of those things where it's kind of like, if you didn't know that it was going to be a Headmaster, you might not look at this guy and say, oh, that's obviously a Headmaster. So very good for FansProject for sort of, you know, making everything work in both modes. I really appreciate that. Very, very nice paneling and detail work all over. The paint is perfect. I don't have any slop at all. Not even a little bit. Like, absolutely perfect. Great details on the inside of the arms. The clips here kind of stand out a little bit, but it's not super obvious. Like, this one's much less so. This one's the one that actually clips. It's part of the transformation, but just so you guys see that. Very, very nice job. Just outstanding. I really, really enjoy the look of this guy from head to toe. The bottoms actually have the little kind of spinny design there. Cool. I dig it. And as I said, the back, you know, you can see that there's a canopy, but it doesn't, like, readily appear what this thing is. So, very, very cool. Articulation-wise, this is cool because since he is a Headmaster, if you guys didn't know that, Chromedome is a Headmaster, very cool that they actually incorporated a swivel joint up here for the Headmaster character to plug into. So, I mean, it's not a ball joint, of course, but it does its job, which is cool. We've got ball and socket shoulders. Only go out to about there, very limited in the shoulders. So, I mean, they go in and everything, and they'll have a little bit rotation up there because it is a true ball socket joint, but they only go out there because of the vents. Actually, it's not even that. It's the inside, the interior of the arm is kind of blocking it. So you might be able to cut some of that out to make it a little better, but, you know, I'm not going to do that on a $70 action figure. We've got swivels in the biceps, or the biceps area, since it is a robot. Hinges in the elbows, which will get more than 90 degrees. Very, very cool. We've got swivels in the wrists. And there is a little bit of up and down action in the wrists if you need that. It's due to transformation, but you know, it is there, so it's worth mentioning. We've got a swivel in the waist, very cool. We've got ball and socket hips, just like the shoulders. They only go out to about that far. So if I'm holding them straight up, only about out to there. So a little bit hindered there as well, but nothing to block it going forward or back. No problems there at all. Swivels in the thighs. Double hinged knees as part of the transformation, but very cool anyway. You know, it's nice to have that point. And we've got hinges in the ankles, but they have no forward motion at all. I'm not really sure why they didn't try and work that a bit more. It may have been impossible due to the transformation, but it will go back very, very, very far, but it will not go forward at all. That's as far as it moves forward. So he can stand flat-footed or like with his front foot out, but there's nothing once his foot starts moving back. So pretty decent articulation. I wouldn't say it's necessarily up to par with their previous releases, like any of their previous releases. They usually have really, really outstanding articulation. But, you know, certainly not bad. Now on the Headmaster, let's see this guy up close. You can see they went in and tried to sculpt some of the face, very cool. And he just unplugs like this. And his articulation, well, you can see the details first. Very cool. They sculpted in the little fists and everything. Very, very nicely done. But nothing in the head, articulation-wise. The arms go all the way around without any problems. These are hinges at the hips and hinges at the knees. That's as far as his articulation goes. One thing that I think is very cool on this action figure is the back, in which you notice there's no eyes here anymore, which I think is very, very cool. They actually have, this is neat, this part, this whole back section is all connected with this part here, and this midsection here where you see that pin is on its own separate joint. So you see how that moves forward like that? That's how his eyes come up. So when you unfold the robot, it naturally pushes that part up and hides the eyes to make him look like a more complete robot. Very cool. It's like something that is just like, who would even notice that or who would even care on a Headmaster? But since they did it, it really makes it stand out, which I think is awesome. So on to the transformation. To get this guy into the car mode, the first thing that I like to do is just go ahead and swap his hands, turn them to the side like this, because you're going to kind of need them out of the way. So I'm going to open the cockpit on the back here. You can see there, his like thrusters and cockpit and stuff is all sort of hidden back here. Flip the arms around, and you want to make sure that they are sort of backwards facing. So you push them up like this, and these thrusters should be on the bottom whenever, or I guess vents should be on the bottom whenever you switch it around. And actually, I think you should switch the hands this way so that they lay flat against each other. And you see those two clips that we looked at before? They're going to stick together, and they'll kind of just stick in there, but when you give them a good press, they'll kind of lock into place, and you can feel that. Then both arms just fold down, and as they do so, the wrist will move forward like that, and then you just cover them up with that panel on both sides. Very simple there. And you just sort of make sure that this is all kind of lined up straight the way you want it and everything. You're going to flip this piece around. So, I'm sorry, I skipped a part there. First, you got to pull down the wee flap there. And this is really interesting. There's a slide that goes all the way down the chest here. And by opening this flap, you continue the slide down into the pelvic area. So you just push forward as far as you can with that till it's down in the bottom area. You see how that's just slid right past that? Then you twist the waist so that this is now the hood of the car. So not too complicated, so sorry if I made it seem that way. The feet, you're going to bend them back to about like that, and then flip this part forward, and then it rotates at the feet all the way around, about 180 degrees, and then that hinge continues to go forward to where this is flat out, and then this leg piece continues out. And I'll show you again on this foot. So push the foot back, fold the, I guess, calf armor out, spin it 180 degrees, flatten it out, flatten it out. Then you're going to want to turn, see how you've got the double hinge here? You want the double hinge facing outward so that it's going to fold in on itself. So do that with both sides. And you see we've exposed the front tires here. And we're just going to fold it back like this, do about like that on both sides. And then when you turn around here, you'll see there's two little tabs here and slots for them. So you kind of just have to make sure you're lined up well and push forward. See how it locks into place? Same on this side. Make sure that you're not, held up on anything. Push forward, locks into place. So now the front of the car is kind of weird looking and stuff. This is really neat. You just fold this part up, fold out the front, and there's a tab here and a slot here on both sides. Just push it down so that those lock in. And it sort of just seals the deal, makes everything kind of fit together. And if you close the cockpit here, voila. Very, very cool. Classic chrome dome goodness. That just looks awesome. I really, really dig the look of the car. And it rolls very smoothly too, which is very cool. Now, I did see another reviewer's review of this where he was talking about the cockpit, and I did check that myself, and it's true. Where, see right here, where that's sort of slanted there, in the package, that's a sharp edge. And the problem is, whenever you're trying to close this, that's going to want to butt up against this brown plastic right here, and people are reporting bad scrapage issues where it'll just gnaw it right out because it's not supposed to be designed like that. There's not enough clearance for it. So I will put his name down at the bottom so you guys can see that. But all I basically did was take a file and just slide it across there maybe 10 times. Not very much. Didn't take very much at all. So that it's got the right clearance. And once it gets here, all you have to do is push it back behind the hood here, and it locks down into place. But if you don't do that, you will scrape up your toy. So be careful. That is a huge design flaw on FansProject part. So we got the cockpit open. Now the controls are on their own hinge, so you can just push them right up towards you, and you can see they're painted and everything. Looks great. Then you take your little pilot here, push the arms forward, and make sure his legs are straight out, because this little slot where his legs are going to fit on this tab inside the cockpit. See that? So I'm gonna make sure it's still, yeah, it's still locked up good. All right. So you basically just put this guy in as best you can. He is small, and I am doing it on camera, so it's going to look harder than it really is because I'm kind of trying to look over it while I do it. But there you go. He just sort of slides down into place. You can see I kind of kicked his leg up while doing it, but I don't think that's going to affect the canopy closing. It might though. And oh, I didn't put his controls down. And then that sort of just closes right over his head. And now you've got a pilot inside of your cockpit. Very, very cool. Let me try to see if I can get him seated just a little better. I'll be right back. There we go. And you see I got his legs to sit down a little better, and you can see that little peg. If the light's getting in there well enough, you can see the peg is coming up right through the center of his crotch. So that's where you want it to be. Then you just make sure his arms are forward, and you push down the little control panel there. Very cool. And then this will close a little nicer over his head. So very cool. And then his guns do have storage in this mode. Both guns sit on the back racks. There's these two little slots here that fit the guns perfectly. They're nice and tight in there. They're not going anywhere. And where I showed you earlier where the handles kind of pop out a little bit, that is for this mode. And all you have to do is press down on the guns once they're in, and they slide right forward. And now his guns are looking forward while he's, in his car mode. Very, very cool. I dig that a lot. Now, these are also the back of the arms in robot mode, so you can store the weapons there if you want. You can actually transform him with those still on there, if you so choose, which is kind of a neat little touch there by FansProject. So, like I said, this guy is, or was, about $70, and $20 went towards Toys for Tots. So, that's really, closer to $50, because we should be donating during Christmas anyway. But it is, $70 for this figure, and it is a deluxe class, and I would have to say, for me personally, I do think that this is worth it. FansProject for me has never really let me down. I guess I gotta open this up. In terms of quality, paint, I've never had anything break with them. They're just solid action figures. Now, they can't put on the Autobot symbol, obviously. There's still copyright issues that they have to deal with and whatnot. But that doesn't mean this looks any less the part of Chromedome. Hasbro, for some reason, doesn't like to do classics that often. I don't know if they don't want to exhaust the supply or what, but they still haven't touched the Headmaster series really at all, as far as their classics go. So, it's really kind of up to the third-party companies right now to kind of sort that all out, to make sure that we're still getting the figures that we want out of our classics collection. Because, like I said, Hasbro's really not delivering the goods on that front. There's still a lot of great Hasbro figures, but this is a great sort of, Hasbro's not doing it, so somebody should type of figure, where it's going to help fill out your ranks, but it's not necessarily like, the most important character in the world. If you talk to Transformers fans, most people will say Optimus Prime, Jazz, Bumblebee. You might get Prowl and what's this? I'm blanking on his name because I always do this. Ironhide in there. Maybe Ratchet if people have been watching the movie. So it's a nice little extra piece, and for $70, he's a great figure. Definitely on the higher end of quality that I've seen from third-party companies. I would recommend this guy if you can find him. Like I said, a few of them kind of showed up afterwards for sale on, I think, TF Source, but they were gone like in minutes. They were gone really quickly. So this guy's probably going to be sort of hard to get a hold of. So I wouldn't pay more than, $80-90 for this guy. I mean, he's still a deluxe class figure. I mean, when we talk about deluxe class and talking about 6 inches or smaller, this is a 6-inch Marvel Legends Deadpool. So he's not a huge figure, but I would say for the price, definitely a good buy. Great robot mode. Oddly enough, very, very nice car mode. I'm normally not a huge alt mode fan. I like to have the robots personally. I like the transformation, but I don't really care about their other modes. But his looks really cool. It looks accurate. It's fun. It's a little different, and it's neat. I like it. So let me just cut away for just a second and show you guys some comparison shots. So here we've just got a few more different sized robots to kind of show you the scale of the guy. Over here on the left we've got Steel Core, also from FansProject, and you can see he's a little bit taller. This is not exactly a Deluxe or Voyager mold. This is just kind of his own thing over here, so he's probably not the best comparison. But here we have Megatron from War for Cybertron, which is an outstanding figure on his own. You can see he's a little bit shorter than Chromedome. The WFC figures were a little short anyway, but pretty much in scale, deluxe-wise. He's about average deluxe height, I would say. Maybe a little bit taller, but not by much. Just to show you, here he is with Hotspot, who is a Voyager-class figure built on the... if you have Grapple or Inferno, you'll know it's the same mold. So, about chest height with him, so pretty decent in terms of size and everything. And like I said, this guy was about $70, so that's about the going rate for a figure this size. Anything less than that, and you're probably not getting the quality that you want. And this guy definitely has plenty of quality. He feels sturdy. He doesn't feel like he's going to break. He's a good size, great paint. Yeah, highly recommend this guy if you're able to get him for a decent price. If you're a huge Chromedome fan, you may want to go up to about $100. If you're just like me and you like the character, you like the design, you think it's pretty cool, this might be a pass for you, just because he will be hard to get, unless they decide to do a reissue at some point, which, being FansProject, they might. It may just be that this was like an early version. So for those who do want them, I do hope they get relisted at some point, but it may be a while. So just keep checking for the pre-order page and see what happens. So thanks, guys, for stopping by. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the box below. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. And thank you to all the new subscribers, everybody, for stopping by and commenting. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, love talking about toys. So we'll talk to you guys later, and thanks a lot. See you. Bye.